Hey everyone, Becky here. I know I'm a day late with this, but I thought I would finally sit down and record my thoughts on last night's episode of Impact Wrestling. I wasn't able to watch it live because I was at the movie theater watching F9. And if you want to know my thoughts on that, my blog review will be posted tomorrow morning, or you can check out my video reaction, which is already posted on this channel. But I digress. So, last night's episode of Impact, which I just got finished watching, I've got some things to talk about. I liked it overall. And first, I'm going to start with what developed on the storyline side of things. So, let's start at the very opening of the episode when Don Callis and Kenny Omega arrive at the building. So, I noticed an interesting detail here when Dawn and Kenny arrive and the guy doesn't want to let Dawn into the building. Did anyone else notice that Kenny seemed genuinely confused as to why Dawn was no longer on the EVP list? I mean, kind of makes you wonder, has Dawn not told Kenny that he's been fired as an EVP and has lost all his power? Because that strikes me as the kind of thing that Don Callis would do, given the level of control he currently has over Kenny Omega. And you gotta believe that if Kenny were to find out that Don Callis has lost all his power, that might affect the balance of power, so to speak, in their relationship. I don't know. It seems like something he'd do, or it's entirely possible I'm overthinking it, but I found it very curious that Kenny seemed confused by that. And speaking of Dawn, actually, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. Before we get back to Dawn, let's go to the other development, and that is that Tommy Dreamer is now seemingly a permanent authority figure at Impact Wrestling, which I did not see coming. I mean, sure, being sent as a representative from the board, that's one thing, but is this going to be a regular thing with Tommy Dreamer? I guess so. I'm going to be curious to see how this develops, because right now, Tommy Dreamer is, to my understanding, a sort of good guy, but now he's going to be an authority, and historically, what has authority done to good guy characters? It makes them heel characters, because, there's that old saying, power corrupts, right? So what is all this power going to do to Tommy Dreamer, I wonder? It will be interesting to see how this plays out for sure. And now, back to what I was saying before with Don Callis. When he comes back, of course, the first thing we see him try to do is kiss up to Tommy Dreamer because Tommy Dreamer's got the power. At least that's what it looks like at first. But I think I see what Don Callis is trying to do here, because he sets up this seemingly brilliant trios match that's going to happen next week. It's going to be Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers against whatever team Tommy Dreamer puts together. And see, here's the thing. It is a brilliant match, especially when we find out who's going to be on Tommy Dreamer's team. But, see, I'm kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop here, because this is the kind of match that there's got to be something at stake here, If you're going to have something like this, something is clearly going to be at stake. And I'm thinking it's going to be revealed the next week, either right before or during the match or something. Something's got to give here. This is too perfect of a setup. This is too nice a thing that Dawn is doing. So you got to know he's plotting something. And I'm pretty sure this is his roundabout way of getting revenge on Tommy Dreamer for firing him last week. So if I were Tommy Dreamer, I would be having eyes in the back of my head, because Don Callis is definitely out to get him. And let's see, what were the other big story developments? Not so much a big story development, but I continue to love the Swingers Palace skits, especially since this one set up a great tag team match for next week. And yeah, that was pretty much... Oh, yes, I almost forgot. When we found out who Tommy Dreamer's team is. Oh, boy. So, against Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers, you're going to have Sami Callihan, Moose, and Chris Sabin. Okay, let's break this down here, why this is going to make things so interesting. So, let's start with the first two. Sami Callihan is facing Kenny Omega at Slammiversary in a few weeks, and already wants Kenny's head on a platter. Moose just faced Kenny Omega at Against All Odds, and wants Kenny's head on a platter for screwing him out of winning the title. And Sabin, lest we forget, is facing Moose at Slammiversary in a few weeks and wants to beat the living hell out of Moose because of what Moose did to him some time back. Now you've got all these three people in one team together facing Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. What do you think is going to happen? Chaos is what is going to happen, because, I mean, Sami and Moose are going to be after Kenny, but Sabin is going to have to resist the urge to not go after Moose, and it's very combustible elements are going to be together here, and I really think it's going to be a question of when, not if, this breaks down between all parties. And also, given that Slammiversary is less than a month away, I mean, we're talking a matter of weeks here. 23 days, I think they said, as of when this episode aired, until Slammiversary. Are they really going to give away Sami Callihan versus Kenny Omega on free TV? I don't think so. That doesn't make any sense. If you're this close to the pay-per-view, you don't want them touching each other in the ring. So, I'm thinking somehow, some way, they are going to prevent Sami and Kenny from interacting as much as possible. They might tease it, but I can't see them properly locking up. Not with Slammiversary this close. I could be wrong, but if they're going to go the smart route here, they're not going to let them touch. Now, Moose, on the other hand, that's different. Moose is probably going to chase Kenny round and round the ring. We hope. So yeah, that's going to be... I am definitely looking forward to this trios match next week. Now, speaking of wrestling, on the wrestling side of this show, there were a few things I liked. I was a huge fan of the opening contest with Rosemary and Kiera Hogan. Rosemary, I haven't seen a lot of her before, but she's quickly becoming one of my favorites to watch. I love that her gimmick is this dark, strange, and weird persona. I love her entrance. I love how she wrestles. I want to see more of her every time I see her wrestle. So, great opening match. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's good. I love Rosemary. Let's see. Trey Miguel also remains one of my favorite wrestlers to watch. I love the way he flies around the ring. I love his wrestling style. It was a lot of fun to watch. I could say that so much about so much of this stuff I saw. And, oh yeah, can't forget the main event. That contest for the tag team titles was so good. I really believed there was a decent chance we would get new champions in this match, but not to be. But, oh man, it was so good. So, it was a great way to end the show. It was a pretty good episode of Impact. I would have loved to have seen a little more Kenny Omega on the show, but again, we all know he's trying to heal up from a bunch of injuries, so I get that his appearances right now are going to be minimal. And I would not be surprised if he spends more time on the ring apron next week than wrestling. But we'll just have to wait until next week to see how exactly that plays out. But I wouldn't be surprised if he wrestles as little as possible, given that Slammiversary is coming. So that's about it. Those are my thoughts on the June 24th episode of Impact Wrestling. Curious to know what you think about my thoughts. Did you like what I mentioned? Did I leave some stuff out that I should have mentioned? Let me know, because I want to make this an ongoing thing, and your feedback is greatly appreciated. So that's all I've got for now. If you like what you see, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm hoping to make this a regular thing, maybe even adding my thoughts on AEW Dynamite once it moves back to Wednesday nights. If you want to see that, let me know. But until then, I will catch you all later. Bye bye.